Yeah, we are just continuing with the creating of lower thirds, which was from the previous lesson. Then after that, we are going to continue to the new lesson, which is regarding the color correction and the color gradings. So I hope you are going to enjoy that. Let me start this. Okay. So we already have talked about the animating text and graphic. We already talked about working with graphics and logos. We already talked about adding text titles and captions on our videos. So these were the things that we already have gone through. And the last one, which is creating lower thirds, that was remaining. So today we are going through creating a basic lower third for your video. Then after that, we are continue with the new lesson. So the lower thirds is a blend of text and visual component that are giving more details about our video, about our footage. And you can just see this kind of text on most of the videos that there are some people are going to show, or maybe a new place. So in lower thirds, there are some information regarding that person who is giving the interview, or maybe some details about the place or the footage that is showing to you on the screen. So we are going to design a simple lower third for our videos, and we are going to animate that. And yeah, for more complicated and more designed lower thirds, you can just find them through some online resources. There are a lot of lower thirds available online. And if you want to make it by yourself, I think for more complicated one, that is not possible in Adobe Premiere, and you have to be familiar with Adobe After Effects. So you can just create a lower third and you can just use that in all of your projects as well. So now I'm opening the Adobe Premiere here, the previous project that we already had, and we are going to create a lower third. So let me just, as we already have gone through this project, we already added some text. Let's see if, where is the text? I think we already added the text, right? But now I cannot see that. Okay, no worries. We already added the graphic, which you can see on the screen on the monitor at the right side of the monitor. That is the graphic that we added on our videos. And beside that, there is a logo at the bottom left corner of our monitor, which is showing the logo on the screen. And we already have talked about that. And regarding the text, we already added the text as well. So now we are going to add a lower third. And for the lower third, it is almost everything as the text itself. Let me just create some space here. So you can just see the screen a little bit bigger. So here, I was thinking that I don't need the logo to be appear. So that's why I'm going to remove, I think this is the logo. I'm going to disable the logo, and same as well, I'm going to disable the graphic as well. So you are going to see a pure video on the screen. So now for creating the lower thirds, I have to create the text. I have to put the information on the screen. And for that, I have to go to the tools. And from the tools, there is the type text, or I can just use the T shortcut. For example, if I am already having the move tool, so I can just press the T shortcut, then the text tool is going to be selected for me. So now I have the tool, the text tool. I'm going to click here on the screen anywhere. So later on, you can just put and change the positions. So I already have created that. Maybe I'm just talking about this person. So this person's name is going to be um, I don't know, any name who is not already in our class. Maybe I can say Sadiq. Okay. Sadiq Ramazani. So yeah, that was the name. And then later on, I need another text talking about the position. Maybe I'm giving some information about the position of the person. Then I can just tap again on the screen, and I am going to say CEO of ABC company. Okay, so that is the title for Sadiq Ramazani. And now I already have the text. I need to make a design for it. So for the design, it is something very clear. It it still depend on me if I just want to add a logo as well or not, or maybe I can just stick on just on the text. So now we are going to continue with the text, and later on, if there was any needed, so we can just try to add a logo as well. So now I already have the Satiq Ramazani and CEO of ABC company. And for changing the properties of this text, as I already said, you have to go to the essential graphic window from here. You can just, if you don't see this window, so for example, I'm just going to close it. Um, you may don't have this window, so that's why you can just go to the window menu, and then after that, you can just click on essential graphics window. So you will have the essential graphic window. There are the settings and the content, everything is different. And now I'm going to select the text. Okay. If I select the text, I have to go to the edit. If I click on the edit, so I can just see there are some text which is already shown for me in this window. So for this, for Sadiq Ramazani, I'm just changing some properties of it. And okay, I'm going to make Sadiq Ramazani text a little bit bolder. I think the font Toma, I'm going to make it bold, or maybe I'm going to say all capital. Let's just change the text as well. So for the text, let's use the very famous one, Popin. I think Popin is very famous. So we already have the Sadiq Ramazani text. We already bolded. We already changed the font. Maybe we can just change the size as well. So I think, let's say 100, that would be fine. Okay. Then the alignment should be to the left. And then for the appearance, I can just change the the color, the feel, which for now I think the white should be okay, but I can just change it into red or any other color that I just wanted. Maybe I can just go through some yellow, but yeah, it depends on you. So I'm going to stick with the white color. Then after that, for the stroke, if I just want to add any kind of stroke, to my text. So I can just check mark the stroke button and click on the white bracket. Then I can just select any kind of color. So as the text is white and in some part it is mixing with the background. So I just try to add a stroke. So that's going to make everything a little bit clear for the reader. And maybe I can just change the size of the stroke. So it all depends on me. And yeah, so I think the others are okay, but we are going to come back for the position. And now I'm coming with the next text, which is about the position of that person. So for that, I'm going to select the position title, and yeah, I can change the text. I think Toma Tahuma is okay. And for the style, the regular is fine. But for the size, I'm going to decrease it to 50, which because it is not that much important. So I can just do that, make it a little bit smaller. So, okay. So we already had that. And from here, from the appearance, I can just change the color, the stroke, and everything. Once it is done, so I can just work with the position. So here, as you can just see, the align and transform options, I can just change the position of the selected text. I'm going to bring it a little bit near. I think that is good enough. And for Sadiq Ramazani, I can just go through that as well. And I have to click on the move tool. Now, as Sadiq Ramazani is already clicked, I can just drag it and bring it on the corner of my screen. Okay. And the same way with the next text, I can just bring that by the mouse. Here. So it is a kind of like a um, very simple lower third that we already have designed. Maybe you can just use it while you are taking the interview, or maybe while you are just talking regarding some place or person, or going or want to give some more information to the viewer. And here, as you can just see, most of the time, the color of the text is going to be not clear in every scene. So maybe now I already have a kind of white at the background. Later on, if I change this into dark color, maybe there are going to be some dark color at the background. So that's why we are going to add, going to bring it down. I'm going to add a kind of like a ribbon below the text, so it is going to be visible for everyone. So for that, I have to just go to my importing menu, and I'm going to select new item. And from the new item, I can just click on color mate. If I click on color mate, so I have to just give the size of my sequence, which is by default the same size that you are using for your sequence. I'm going to say okay. And now here I can just select the color of the mat that I needed. Maybe I can just select the black one, or maybe I can say red, or maybe blue, or purple, or green, or yellow. So it depends on you. So right now I'm going to select the black one. So I'm hitting on OK. Now I can rename it. I can give a name to not lose it. So I can say the ribbon. Okay. So I already have the ribbon, and here the text that we have in our timeline, it is the text. So I'm going to put the ribbon right below the text. So you can just see the screen become dark, become black. So now I have to just go to effect, and from the effect, I'm going to search crop, which you can just find under the transform and video effects, and dragging your crop on the ribbon file, on the ribbon footage. So once you already edit, you can just find the crop setting on the effect control window. Okay, so as you can just see here. So from the crop one, I'm going to crop this ribbon from the top and maybe from the bottom. So it's going to be like, I have to just give some value for the top. I can just click and drag until I just found it, or maybe I can click on crop here in the menu. Then, so for example, here, as you can just see, there isn't anything. If I am going to add some crop from on the top or the bottom, so I have to just do by numbers. But if I just want to make everything from the screen, I have to just click on the crop. Then these bounding box are appear. Then from here, I can just drag and yeah, and crop it as I wish. Okay. So I already have crop from the top and the bottom. It it still depends on you. In most of the time, the people they are having the same ribbon from left to right in to whole screen. But still, if you want to just put under the text only, you can just crop from the right and the left as well. Okay, this way. But I'm going to let it for the whole screen. So now, as you can just see, let me just hide the safe margin. Where is it? Here, you can, as you can just see, we have the text, and as that was not clear and readable, so we already added a ribbon, a dark ribbon, so it is now much more clear for to be read. But most of the time, maybe that is blocking some part of the video at the background. So in that case, I'm going to select the ribbon. I'm going to select the ribbon here. Then in the effect control window, I have to find the opacity. Okay, so from the opacity, I can just decrease the amount. I'm going to put 80. So this way, you are going to have the ribbon, and it is going to help the text to be more readable. And beside that, you can just see the background of the footage, the footage at your background. You can just see that, and you can just read the text as well. So for making it, giving some animation to your text, it is very simple. Okay. So first thing, again, in Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, and other applications that they are working with the animation. So you only have to work with the keyframes. You have to just put some keyframes at the starting of animation and at the end of animation. And what these keyframes are talking, like acting as, they are giving a stat to the text or maybe the graphic. Maybe you are just at the beginning of the animation, you are giving them a stat that you have to be here, or maybe you have to be at this size. Then after 1 second, you have to change your state. You have to change your position, or maybe change your size to this amount or to this value. The same way we are going to do here with our lower text. So first thing, we already selected the background, the ribbon one. And by selecting that, I am going to put the playhead here, and I'm going to say this is going to be the end of the animation. So for the end of the animation, the position which I'm going to give um, some animation, I'm going to click on this watch, on this stopwatch or maybe watch icon. So once I clicked, I can just see there is a keyframe created for me at the same position and at the same value. So now I'm saying that it should be at the end of the animation. But what about at the starting of animation? So at the starting, for the starting, I'm bringing the playhead a little bit back, or maybe at the beginning of the footage, and I'm saying I'm changing the position. For example, this is the X properties, and this is going to be the Y. So I'm going to say this ribbon should be um, at the very top of the screen. So it should come from the top of your screen and place there. So I have to just change maybe to the right or the left, so I can just change the position of that at the beginning of the animation. So now what I have, it is the starting of animation, and I'm going to play it so you can just see the animation that we already give. Look, so we already added two keyframes, and two keyframes are saying about the two status of the ribbon. The first one outside of the screen, and the second one, it should be here, which is going to be the last one. So now I can just work on the what is it? This the duration and the style of the keyframes. So now I'm going to make it zoom by pressing on the plus. I can bring it a little bit near. By this, I'm going to change the duration. So I can play now and see. Look, now it is much more better. Okay. But I need some kind of velocity for my keyframe. So now, as you can just see, the animation is very boring. Like this is coming from the from the bottom to the top. And yeah, there isn't any much interesting in that. So I'm going to add some interesting velocity to these keyframes by pressing on the arrow just at the left side of uh, the position, or maybe scale or rotation. So whatever the keyframe is for. So for in this case, we are already have the keyframe for the position. So we are going to click on the arrow of the position. Once you click that, you can just see there is kind of lines and dots and this kind of things appear at the just right, just at the bottom of the keyframes. Now, as you can just see here, they have some kind of handle that you can just change, or maybe you can just drag them. So that's why I'm going to click on any of these handles and going to move it. Maybe I can just bring it a little at the very right and then at the bottom, okay? At the very bottom. So now, as you can see, there is a kind of shape created. And this is talking and telling us about the velocity of this keyframe. They are saying that, okay, so here the velocity is very low, but here the velocity is getting higher. Now, if I play, so you can just see the changes for this keyframe. You can see this is much more faster than before. Yeah. But now I'm thinking that, okay, the duration is very low. I'm going to add some duration. So here you can just see and feel the animation better. Look, it is coming at once. Yeah. Or maybe I am going to change this velocity. Okay, let me just bring it back. It should be linear. Linear means without any velocity. So velocity is none. It is not working. So now I am just changing the second keyframe. If I change the second keyframe, now you can just see the difference. Now it is a kind of like smooth coming on the screen, okay? So this is the way that you can have an animation on your screen. The same way we are going to do with the text here. So for the text, so we already have this ribbon. I'm going to bring the play header to the second keyframe of that. Then I'm going to select my text. Okay, so I already selected the text, and I'm going to add a position keyframe for my text as well. I'm going to have the keyframe. Then I'm going to select the ribbon again. I'm bringing at the first keyframe. Then I'm going to select add another keyframe for my text as well. But the animation for my text, it is not going to be the same as it could be the same as the ribbon that we already animated. Maybe I can just bring the text down as well, and I'm going to do the same thing that I already had done with my ribbon. So from here, I'm going to change the same properties and the velocity for this keyframe. So I'm going to have the same animation for both, okay? Look, as you can just see, both are already connected together. But now I'm saying that, okay, I don't want just like that. I want one animation to start, and then after some time, we can just start and go to the next animation. So that's why I'm going to change the position of the text. So it means the animation is starting with some delay, okay? Now I'm playing. You can see the ribbon is coming, then after that, the text is coming, okay? So they are not coming all together. So there are some gaps, and these gaps make sometimes the animation more interesting, okay? So, yeah, this was the lower third, but in any case, if you want to add your logo as well, so I have to just go to my project window, and I think we have this logo here, a e-SMARTstudy logo. I'm going to bring that. Sorry, the screen is a little bit small, so I am having challenges moving everything back and forth. Uh, okay, so I'm going to delete this. I going to delete this one as well. So I'm going to bring the logo on my screen at the top of where is it? The lower third. It is not visible. Why? Because we already have disabled this layer. So I have to turn it on. I can just see the logo on my screen, which is very big. I have to scale it down. Maybe 15 would be enough. And now I have to just change the place. So for the place, I can just click on motion. So I can just get this bounding guide. I can just drag it here on the same ribbon. Maybe I can just put it here, or I can put somewhere here and bring the text a little bit to the right. Okay, so again, it depends on you. I'm going to put it here at the right side of my screen. Then I'm going to give this animation, okay? As you can just see right now, it doesn't have any animation. Now I'm saying that, okay, the animation for the text is finished here, but I need the logo to finish here, okay? Bring it a little bit front. I am going to give a keyframe of the position, then coming a little bit back here, I think that is a very good point for the start. And now I'm going to give animation to come from the right side. Okay. So I'm going to change the position to the right. And now, as you can just see, I'm going to play. It has a kind of animation coming from the right side. Okay. But as we already have talked, the animation is so boring. But now we can just add some twist by changing this the velocity of these keyframes. Now, if I play, you can just see how this animation can become smooth. And yeah, I think that looks much better. Okay. So this way we can just add a lower third on our video and give some animation. But as I already said that there are a lot of lower thirds available online that you can just use for your project. Maybe some of them they are free, but mostly you have to pay for them. Okay, so here I have some of these in front of me, but in most of them you are a little bit limited. You cannot just change most of the things. For example, here I have this one, which is very complicated. And yeah, the animation are very complicated, and you have to make it at first in Adobe After Effects. So they already made in Adobe After Effects. Then after that, we can bring them in Adobe Premiere as well. So I'm going to select this one. But yeah, later on at the end of this course, I may provide with some of these lower thirds for you, so you can just use for your projects as well. I'm going to bring this and drag it into my timeline. So I'm going to say it should be here. Okay, this one. This one is the lower third that I brought. So as I come and check, you can just see there is kind of animation and the text appears on my screen. Okay. It appears and it disappears as well. So you can just bring any kind of changes in the text, in the color. So yeah, it all up to you. So now I'm going to bring this. Um, if I click on that and being on the essential graphic window and the edit tab, I can just change the colors. For example, this white color, this green color, the positions, the X and Y position, the scale, or maybe the text that we have. So for example, here I'm going to do the same. It is written special, so I'm saying Sadiq, okay? And this title, I am going to say CEO, okay? So I can just change the text, the font, and everything. For example, here it is, the size is 80, so I can just make it bigger. But yeah, as I said, that there are some limitations. Maybe if I exceed the size, the text are going to be cut. Okay, that's not going to be placed in the same template. So in that case, you have to be more careful if you have some skills in After Effects, so you can just bring some changes on the After Effects file and you can just use that as you wish. Okay. I already put it. So for this one, which is as a kind of logo. So right now it is written 30, but I can just say maybe I can put some word or some letter which is related to my company or maybe to my brand. So I can just say E, okay? if I put E, so it is going to be put it there, and I can just bring some changes in the size and the fonts. So yeah, almost everything is up to you. Maybe I can say T. Okay, so here we already have changed that. I can just change the color. So for the color, I'm going to change it to yellow. As you can see, everything is changed in yellow. And for the white one, I'm saying that it should be uh, orange. Okay, so you can see most of the text and the animations, they already have changed. So I am just changing the position. So I'm bringing the X position to the left and the Y position a little bit lower. So I have this lower third on my video with a very good animation on my screen. Okay, this. So this was about the lower third, and I hope that's going to be useful. And for this kind of lower thirds, the ready-made lower thirds, don't worry about that. We are going to share at the end of this course with some templates so you can just use for your project. Any questions so far? Okay, let me. Okay. So we are done with the lower third. Now we are going to continue with the new lesson, with this lesson of the session 5, which is color correction and grading. Okay, so we are learning about the color correction and color grading of our footage in this lesson, and hopefully we can just finish it on the time. So yeah, for the overview of the whole lesson, which we are talking about understanding the color correction versus color grading. Most of the people, they are thinking that color correction and color grading are the same. So we are just talking regarding that, and we will see what are the difference and how we can just do that. Then we are going to learn some basic color correction tools. Then we are talking about the adjusting exposure, contrast, and saturation for our footage. Then we are learning about applying color grading presets that we already have in Adobe Premiere, or maybe we can just find outside of Adobe Premiere in some online sources. But yeah, it could be free or it could be paid. So the first thing about the understanding of color correction and color grading. So as I already mentioned, most of the people, they are thinking color correction and color grading are the same, but as here in this screen, just a minute. Okay, as here on the screen, as you can just see, for the color correction, the definition of color correction is that it is a technical process that fixes color issues and makes footage appear as naturalistic as possible. Okay, so the process of color correction is somehow that you are fixing the issue that a footage could have. Maybe there are less of light, maybe there are less of color saturation. So you are just fixing the color to make it the standard, what we are just looking as our own eyes. Okay, but for the color grading, it is also technical. So we are not saying that it is something different. It is also technical, but it is more of a creative concern. Okay, maybe the tools are the same, maybe the process are the same, but the only thing which is different about the concept, okay? So for the color correction, we are thinking to fix the issues of a footage, but for the color grading, we are more thinking of making it more creative for the audience, or maybe through this grading, or maybe through the color of our footage, we are going to give them some kind of message, or maybe give them some emotion. Okay, later on we will see, and from the emotion, what I mean, maybe you already have seen some movies. The screen is very dark, and yeah, there could be some horror movie. Okay, so they are going to give you some kind of emotion, that okay, this is dark, this is night, it could be happen, anything could be happen at this time of the night. Or maybe if there is any kind of party, so in party maybe the colors are different, the themes are different, and yeah, so you can just bring these kind of changes on your footage, and you can just talk regarding um, the atmosphere and animation of your footage, and the message that you want to express to your audience. Okay, so yeah, it says it is also technical, but it is more of a creative concern. The color grading process adds atmosphere and emotion to shoots by coloring footage in new, often unnatural ways. Okay, most of the time, as we already mentioned, in color correction, we are just trying to make a footage as much realistic, as much natural as we can. But for the color grading, it may it may change the color and the grade, or maybe the look of a footage unnatural. Okay, so that may not be standard or natural for most of the time. So for the tools that we have for the color correction, there are different tools available for color correction purpose. And below you can just see the mostly used one, which is available on Adobe Premiere, and mostly everyone is familiar with that, which is Lumetri Color. Okay, Lumetri Color is a very good tool, and I think one and all, you can just find everything in Lumetri Color. You can just find different kind of tools that was used before in Adobe Premiere, and you can just find all of them in one tool. So if you are using Lumetri Color, you are not going to be needed any kind of other tool from Adobe Premiere to use it. Okay. Um, then there is a LUT. LUT stands for look up uh, lookup table. Okay, so we are going to um, talk about that, regarding that more in details, and yeah, while we are just finding and working on that practically, okay, on the application. And the next one is, we are talking about the color adjusting exposure, contrast, and saturation. If you are familiar with Adobe Photoshop, I think most of the things are very familiar for you. If you are familiar with Photoshop, you already know what is exposure, or what is contrast, or what is saturation. And the difference between the Photoshop and the Adobe Premiere is that Photoshop is for the still image, the images without any animation, or maybe just one frame footage. But in Adobe Premiere, we are going to apply the same thing for the whole video, maybe for some animated images. Okay, so that is only the difference. So what is exposure? Exposure adjusts the overall brightness or darkness of the image. Okay, so for example, if you are finding any kind of image which is too dark or maybe which is too bright, you can just change the some settings and adjust the exposure of this footage. And for the contrast adjusts the difference between light and the dark areas. So maybe in some part you may find some images which barely you can just say this is the dark side, or maybe this is the dark part of the image and this is the light part of the image. So adding contrast, it is going to add the differences between the light and the dark part and areas of your image or video. And what is the situation? Saturation adjusts the color intensity or vibrance of the image. So by saturation, you are going to adjust that how much color do you want to add into your video. Maybe you are bringing the saturation a little bit down. So in that case, your video is getting like the less color is going to be used in your image. But if you increase it, so in most of the time there will be over color. So there are going to be a lot of color in your image, and maybe there is going to be a kind of the burn effect on your image. So we are going to talk on them more on practical, and we are going to check everything practically. And then there are ways that we have to apply the color grading. We already talked about the differences of color correction and color grading. Then after that, we are going to find and see the ways that we can just add the color grading for our movies. As you can just see on the screen, the left half of the image and the right half of the image. The right one is ungraded. You can just see it is already done with the color correction. Okay, the color is already looking uh, realistic, natural. But if we want to give some kind of emotion, or maybe changing the color, or maybe the theme of the video, we are going to add and apply some grade to our image and footage. So it's going to look a little bit differently. So there are two ways for applying the color grading. One is the manual, and one is using a lot of presets that we have. So for using the manual color grading, the process for using the manual color grading is the same with the color correction process. We are doing the same thing, but maybe the intention or maybe the concern is a little bit different, or maybe the standard are a little bit different. And yeah, there is another way for using the presets. There are a lot of presets, and yeah, you can just use most of them as you wish. So let me see, what time is it? So we are at the middle of this session. I think, yeah, okay. Um, so we are already done with the theory of the session 5, and let's just take a very short break. Then after that, we are going to get on the application, and we are just trying everything uh, practically. Okay. So now it is almost 3. So yeah, please be here at 3:10. Okay, so I think 12 minutes is enough. So take your time and yeah, grab some coffee. See you on 3:10. So we brought some new footage that we are going to work during our color correction session. So now I'm going to make a duplicate of this sequence. Maybe I can Control C and Control V. So I have two. And now this one I'm going to rename. I cannot rename it. So no worries. I'm going to close that and deleting everything that I have in um, this sequence. So these are the videos that I imported newly. Keep existing settings. I have to select all, right click and set to frame size. Scale to frame size. Yeah, this way I can see a lot more. So I am just making the sizes of these footages, and um, yeah, I hope everything is good now. So the first thing about the workspace, actually for the color grading, we are not in need of many other windows that we already have here. So that's why I can just go to click on color. This way, I can see the useful monitors in front of me rather than every windows which is not usable for me, or maybe which are just taking the space. Okay, so here I have my timeline, I have my monitor, I have so it can be effect control, lumetri scopes, and other things. But yeah, we are just focusing on lumetri scopes. Then after that, we have the lumetri color window here as well, which we talked about that this is an um, color correction and color grading tool, which is very useful in Adobe Premiere. Okay, so here for the footage, as you can just see, this is the footage that we have. And maybe for most of you, you may say it different in your devices, okay? So whatever I am just looking right now, it is something different what you are looking on your screen. Why? The differences are from the screens, from the displays of your devices. Maybe in some screens they are just adding some contrast, but in some they are not. Maybe in some they are focusing more on red colors, on in some in blue color. So it is very different. If we are working with the colors, with the color correction of any footage, maybe we are just correcting everything, considering our own screen. Maybe it is something different on someone else's screen. And once the project is exported, that is not in your control anymore. So whatever the color is, that is going to be shown on other devices. So that's why you may already have faced most of the time that you already designed a photo, or maybe you created a video, or yeah, or something else, but whatever you already made, that is something different with what you are seeing on another devices. Most of the time, I have created some videos, and the videos was totally okay with me on my computer. But whenever I was just checking through my handphone and through my mobile, in mobile, it was giving more contrast uh, to to my footages, and that is something that I cannot just do anything else. And that is the reason that we are working with the coloring, color correction and color grading of our footage, but we are not too much concentrating on our own eyes, because our screen may be something different. So that's why we are focusing and having a scope in our in our Adobe Premiere, and this is going to tell us how much is the contrast, how much is the highlight, so we can just see everything as a standard. Okay, so we can just change the color as a standard, and this it depends on other people that they are just whatever device that they are using. Maybe for some of the people it is a little bit with more contrast, but for some of the people it is not. But whatever you had done, that is the standard of the color grading, or maybe the color correction. So this is there are a lot which you can find. There are, as you can just see, vector scope HLS, vector scope YUV, histogram, waveform. So this is the one that you are seeing. This is the parrot. Okay. If I say waveform, I can just have another one as well. Vector scope, I can have another one as well. So for right now, as it is not that much professional course, so we are not going to focus and going deep down into these scopes, because it is a little bit difficult. You have to consider, you have to understand how much is the contrast, how much is the highlight, how much is the saturation, uh, which color you should work on. So this is going to be a little bit in professional. So now I would suggest that we ignore these scopes, and we are focusing more on our eyes, okay, for the sake of this course. Okay. And yeah, I think for the sequence, for the timeline, that is okay, that is enough. We have to see the footages on our screen more than others, okay? So whatever I am just looking right now, because I logged in from two devices, the one is from my PC, and the other one is from my mobile phone. So in my mobile phone, I can just see how these are showing with some more contrast. But here on my screen, this is something different. So we are going through that is my own view on the computer. Okay. For example, here I have this footage. Maybe for you is the same or not, but for me it is a kind of like the color is not that much. It is very peak. Okay, so most of the things they are not clear for me. And before that, I would like to just go through the overview of the Lumetric color tool that we have already open on the right side of our screen. Here, as you can just see, we have the basic correction. If I click on that, so that is going to minimize. We have the basic correction, we have the creative, we have the curves, we have the color wheels and match, we have the HSL secondary, and we have the Wignet. Okay, I don't know, Wignet or Wignet or something just like that. Okay. Um, the first one we are going through is the basic correction. So in the basic correction, we have multiple values and options, such as the white balance selector, temperature, tint, or maybe regarding the tones, we have exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. That we already have talked about that in our slides as well. That there was the exposure, contrast, and saturation. So yeah, we can just find most of these values here, and by changing the values for each of them, we can just make it plus or minus. We can just increase it or decrease it. So the value is changed, and yeah, we are going to see some changes on our footage as well. The next one is the creative. So in the creative, we have looks, which I was talking about LUT. We mentioned LUT. LUT means lookup table. And yeah, here you as you can see, this is the same lookup. This is the same LUT. Okay. You can just find a lot of other presets as well. You can just um, select any of them and you can just bring some changes, which we are going to come back on these changes again as well. So now we are just going through the overview of these tools. And this is the curve one. And the curve one is you may already familiar with the Adobe Photoshop as well. In Adobe Photoshop, we have the same tools and the same settings by the name of curve, or maybe for the basic correction, I think there is a tool with the name of camera raw footage, something just like that. Yeah. So for the color wheel, it is a very good way that you can just do most of the things from this section. We are going to come back and HSL secondary as well. If you want to focus on a very specific um, hue or any specific color in your scene, you can just change the color of that from here. And Visionet is another tool to add some kind of like cinematic look to your footage. Maybe you can just add some black and dark part around your footage, or maybe it should be white. Okay, so it depends on you, or maybe you can just change on some other settings as well. So right now I am going to reset everything as it was. So we are going through these tools one by one, and hopefully at the end we are going to have a better understanding of what is color correction and how we can just change anything in our session, in our footage. Okay, so if I don't have any clip clicked, so the Lumetri color is not available for me. If I click any clip, so I can just see there are a lot of settings and the things and the values that I can just change everything. So coming from here, at the very first one, which is input LUT. Okay, so this is the LUT, the same thing that I was talking. Um, these are some of the presets that you can just use because they are already prepared. And as you can just see, there are a lot of these LUT are named as, so it depends on the cameras that you are taking the videos or the footages, or maybe the applications that you generated these kind of footages from. You can select any of this and you can just see there are some changes happen on this footage. So for example, I already have applied the basic correction and there is a check mark. If I click on the check mark and it is not applying this kind of effect on your footage. So you can see at the beginning, how was that and how it changed the color after using this LUT, after using these presets. These presets are awesome, but yeah, you can just do the same thing, or maybe if you want with some difference by concentrating like manually doing that. Okay, so you already have a lot of these settings here. So for now, I'm going to put it back on none, and there is two options. One is manual and one is auto. As you can just see here, there's a button by the name of auto. Okay, if I click on auto, auto is changing these settings by themselves. Like this is auto, this is happened by Adobe Premiere itself. And most of the time it is not working. Okay, most of the time this is working well, but most of the time this is not working. As you can just see right now, I already have applied the auto, but there isn't too much differences. And for seeing the differences, I can just uncheck the basic correction and check it again. So you can just see the changes. This is the very, very small changes. So I'm going to reset it and I'm going to start it from the beginning. So the first thing about the temperature, the temperature is the orange color and the blue color of the footage overall. If I'm changing, bringing that to the blue, you can just see all of my footage um, heads up to the blue color. And vice versa, if I change it into orange, so all my footage is turning on orange. So orange means warm color and blue means cold color. So I'm not going to change that right now. We are going to come back again if there was any need. So now I am just changing some exposure, but as you can just see, I am just sliding them left to right and see what looks better. And I'm not going to concentrate on the number because the numbers are different. It is very hard to pick any specific number. Okay. And for the contrast as well, I'm going to add some contrast, or maybe I can decrease the contrast. So I'm going to increase it. As you can just see, there is something happen in my footage. Okay, as I increase the contrast, there are some changes I can just see. So now the picture is more clear to me than before. And if I want to check how much difference it made, so I can uncheck and check. Okay. So these are the differences of just only the contrast and very a little bit of the exposure as well. And yeah, for the exposure, you can just increase or decrease it, but I think overexposure is not good, but I think that's going to be enough. So for the highlights, I can see which looks better and bringing some changes. to what I like the most. Okay. So I think these kind of changes, it is much better because I cannot see the clouds much more clear, the trees, the grass, and the people as well. Okay. So I can just saying that this is good. But there is another one by the name of situation. I can just change the situation, bringing it down, as I said, that it is adjusting the intensity of the color. So if the saturation is low, it means that there isn't too much color in my footage. If that is high, you can just see there are a lot of color in my footage. So I think over color, over saturate, and lower saturate, both are not good. It should be something in the middle, okay? So you can just see, I think that is enough. And now, if I want to make the white balance, bring it to the blue um, kind of feeling, the temperature, bring it a little bit down or up, I can just change the temperature. And the tint as well, the tint is going to change the color of my footage from green to magenta and from magenta to green, okay? So if you want to change any color, for example, your footage is uh, too much green. So the only thing that you have to do, you have to just adjust the tint, okay? You can just bring it to magenta. Or maybe your footage is very, very blue. So you can just bring the temperature a little bit up by changing the temperature, okay? So this is the way, and this is how we are going to make the color correction. We are just correcting the color, making it more naturalistic and more standard. And after that, we have the creative. The creative tab is most likely for the grading. Okay. Um, so here for the basic correction, we already have brought a lot of changes in the exposure, as we were already talking. Exposure is adjusting the amount of the brightness, and the contrast is adjusting the difference between the highlight and the dark areas, and the saturation is already looking adjusting the amount and the intensity of the color in our footage. So yeah, we are done from the basic correction, and I think that is going to be the color correction. But yeah, later on, other process they could be used for the color correction, but yeah, they are mostly used for the color grading. Color grading is mean what does it mean? As we already talked, it is to put some emotion, and in most of the time the it is not realistic, okay? It is unrealistic. So if you go to creative, you can just see there is a window of your footage, and again there are some presets that you can just find in this drop down. If you click on this drop down, you can just see a lot of presets. So I'm going to apply one of these. I don't know, I didn't use it before. Okay. As you can just see, there are something different on the footage as well. So I can just change to SL Big HDR, or maybe SL Blue Moon. So these are the changes that bring to this footage. But I'm not, I don't have to just go and search one by one from here. There is two arrows. I'm going to select this one, and by arrows I can just change and see which one is working well. So the differences I can just see here. This is the preset, but it is not applied already on our footage. So once we are okay with any kind of preset, for example, this one, this one. So I can just double click on it and it is going to be applied on our footage. Okay. And then from here, you can just change the intensity. Maybe you are saying that, okay, bring the intensity a little bit down or maybe up. So intensity amount is adjusting the amount of this effect to be applied. So you are saying that this effect should be 100% applied to my footage. So it should be 100, okay? 100. But in most of the time, you are saying that, okay, I need this effect, but not that much. This should come a little bit down. So you can just change the intensity and select as per your native. And this is faded film. The next option is about the faded film. The faded film, what does it doing? It is bringing a kind of like light in the dark areas. So right now, as you can just see here in this bag, the bag of the girl, you can see it is a little bit dark. So if I add the faded film, you can just see it is changing only the dark sides of the dark areas of our footage. Maybe you already have seen some movies with this kind of effect that uh, they had some kind of like not the dark, but it's a kind of like a gray, a dark gray. Okay, so you can just change that, but I'm not adding too much. And the sharpen, as you're already familiar with the Photoshop, the sharpen is making some part of making our footage a little bit sharp. So I can select or maybe increase the sharpen. As you can just see here, there are some differences at the edges that you can just feel. So now I am going to bring it down. As you can see, it is not clear, but if I increase, you can see the edges are showing themselves. Okay. The vibrance and the saturation, vibrance and saturation, we already have talked about the saturation is increasing and decreasing the intensity of the color through all of our footage, through all the what is it? The footage that is shown on the screen, but the vibrance is um, increasing the saturation of those areas which is oversaturated. Okay, so it is not applying for all the footage, but in some parts that the saturation is a little bit higher, the vibrance are changing the saturation of those places. Okay, so for now, as a sample, as an example, see if I increase the situation is increasing the situation of everything. These trees, this grass, the girl itself, and yeah, everything. So everything is affected. But for the vibrance, it is not affecting. See, it is not affecting too much, or if affecting, that is very less. Okay, but mostly those part who are already oversaturated, who are which are already with a higher situation, they are going to be affected by the violence. Okay, and from here, the tint balance. So there is two wheel that I can see on my screen. One is the shadow tint, and the other one is the highlight tint. Okay, so in our footage we have two parts. One is the shadow, and one is the bright. Okay, but at the middle there is the mid-tone. But most of the time we don't have the mid-tone, and the same is going here. We don't have the mid-tone, but we have the shadow tint and we have the highlight tint. From here, I can change and adjust the color of the shadows or the color of the highlights. For example, here there are, in my picture, there are a lot of shadows and there are a lot of highlights. If I want to change, so if I click on the middle of this wheel and drag it, so you can just see I can change this wheel everywhere that I want. Okay, so I am just bringing it into green, or maybe bringing it into red. Okay, see what is the difference you can just see on this footage while I'm just changing. Do you see any changes? If I bring it into red, so I'm going to bring it here, what happened? The shadows, the dark areas of my footage, they are changing their colors to somehow reddish. So they are just getting kind of red feeling to the dark areas. If I bring that to the green, so as you can just see, the dark areas, they are just trying to get the green feeling of the green color on themselves. Okay, so this way you can adjust the color of the shadows, the dark areas, or you can just change the color of the highlight areas as well. So this one is for the highlight. If I change it and bring it to the red, as you can see, the highlight areas, the light areas, the bright areas of my footage, they are changing into red, into red. If I bring that into green, you can see they are changing their color to the green, or maybe the blue. You can see the bright areas, they are changing their color um, to blue. So again, it depends on you. You have to just see which color do you want to share. Like for example, for the dark areas, do I need to have um, a bluish, or maybe for the highlight colors, I may need some kind of like orange. Okay, then here I can just balance between the shadow and the highlight, that which color I just need. I can just consider that and change the tint balance as well. So after that, any questions so far until now? So right now, okay, I can just see on my mobile phone that it is showing that the red color is too much. Okay, so the highlight is red. So I am going to bring it a little bit down. And from here, bring in to near to green. Okay, so I think now it looks much better. And yeah, then after that we have the curves. The curves are doing the same thing as it was in Adobe Photoshop, and the curves in Adobe Premiere, it is used more to add some kind of uh, contrast, brightness, and highlights and this kind of effects in your image. So just consider that, okay, I'm going to reset everything. So whatever we already had done, that's going to be resetted. I reset, this is the original footage that I already had. And now through the RGB curves, I can bring some changes. For example, here, I can change the contrast, the brightness. I can just create a curve And yeah, as you can just see, we can do almost the same thing through the curve as well. But yeah, there are most of the time it is a little bit hard to maintain the same thing, or maybe what we are just looking for. But yeah, mostly we can just do that. For example, here um, in our previous editing, we had the details in these dark areas, right? We had the details. We had something was showing, but now here, as you can just see, it is black. And yeah, if you want to have the details, you have to go through those settings that we already had done. And if I am going to reset and do the same thing from here, so I can see what you were saying. As you can just see here, now we can just see more details, okay, in these areas. So that is the difference, but again, yeah, it depends on the scene, on the lighting of the scene, or maybe the need, what you what you want. And the same as the Photoshop, it has the RGB curve that you can just change every color at once, or maybe you can just select every color different separately. So now I can just change the curve for the red color. This one is for the green, or maybe this one is for the blue. Okay, so I can just change everything from here. And there are hue saturation curves, hue versus saturation. So I can just, for example, here, there is one area. For example, I'm going to select this color picker, and I'm going to select the red of the skin, okay? It already selected this part of the color for me. And now here I can just change the saturation of this selected color. For now, so now I can just make it saturated. As you can just see, the the color of the skin, it is changing. Or I can just bring it a little bit down. Okay, so again, you can just change everything, and you can just select the a specific color, and you can just change the saturation of that color by this. So these are the hue versus hue, hue versus luma, luma versus saturation. So they are saturation versus saturation. They are using for the same purpose, but yeah, you can just adjust the saturation of a specific area, or maybe a specific color. So you can just go through that because the time is a little bit running out. But yeah, mostly maybe we are not on a professional course. This is a basic one, so we are not going to focus more on this. So yeah, by passing that, we have the color wheel and match. And as I said, that you can just do almost everything by here. Um, you have the shadows, you have the midtones, and you have the highlights. Okay, let me just bring it just like that. Okay, we have we have the shadows. We can just change the color for the shadows part of this image, for the midtones and the highlights. As you can just see, there are two things for every of them. One is the slider up and down, and the other one is the circle itself. We have these two settings for the shadows, for the midtones and highlights. I can just change, for example, I'm just changing the shadow parts of this image, bringing them a little bit down, the shadow parts. So whatever I'm just bringing changes, the changes are going to be applied just only to the shadow parts, to the dark areas, okay? I'm bringing it a little bit down. Maybe I can just change the color to something yellowish, or maybe red, pink, blue, or green, okay? So it depends on you, that what feeling that you want. So now for me, I'm going to bring it to a little bit on the blue area. And for the mid-tone, I have to bring the mid-tone a little bit higher because I want to bring the mid-tone a little bit lighter, brighter, and changing the color to something yellow. Okay, this one. And for the highlight as well, I have to just bring the highlight a little bit brighter, and I can just change the color to something, for example, for as the green or maybe yellow or red or pink. So again, it depends on you. So you can just have to work in with this color and make the best perfect step for the color. Okay. And if you want to see the changes, what changes we brought through this color wheel, so we can just uncheck and check, and let's see how much difference is there in this area. Okay. But again, you can just do more. You can just work on this and see which one looks better to you. And yeah, for the HSL secondary, okay, by the way, here in color wheel and match, there is one more option, the comparison view. And the comparison view, what is it doing? It is copying the color of one clip to another one, okay? Or maybe you are comparing two clips and two footages. For example, here, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So you can just see this footage is the one that we already have brought a lot of changes. And this footage is a footage with nothing had done on this one. Okay. So now we are going to compare. We are going to compare and we are going to copy these colors from this one and apply that on this one. Okay. So for that, I'm going to select this one, the one without any effect, and I'm going to click on compare view. Okay, so in compare view, I can just see two videos, and on the videos on my right is the video that we are changing the color and the setting. Okay, and the color and the footage on the left side is the footage that we are just want to compare and see how it should be. It should be, okay? So here, as you can just see, there is a blue dot. I can just change, and it is the same thing as the timeline here. And I have to just go and find this area, okay? So I have to go now here. As you can just see, this is what is it? The footage that we already had some changes, and this is the footage without any color adjustment. So now here, by selecting this one, I'm going to see and find this button by saying apply match. Okay, if I click on apply match, the system of the Adobe Premiere, it is going to see and search for the settings or maybe the effects that already have applied on this and going to apply on the new footage as well. So let's see how much it's going to consider that. See, as you can just see how much differences was there. So let me just go to Control Z. That is the original one. If I want to check, so this is comparing side by side, okay? But there is another one vertically comparing split or maybe horizontally. So I can just click on that and I can see how much difference it is. See, look how much it is different. or maybe this way I can compare. Okay. Now, if I want to apply, by selecting the new footage, I'm clicking on apply match, and this is going to apply the same, almost the same effects on my new footage. Okay. But again, if there was needed, so you can just bring some more changes by going to the color wheel, or maybe basic correction, or maybe curves. So you can just find the right spot, or maybe the right setting for the footage to be show the same as the other footage as well. So that, and HSL secondary as well, it is going to help with a specific what is it, color, to change the color and maybe change the situation. So let me just close this comparison. Okay, I can just click on that to close the comparison view, or maybe there is the comparison view option as well on the monitor. So I can just click on that, and yeah, everything is going to close. So for the HSL secondary as well, we can just do select a specific color. For example, here I am going to focus more on the skin tone. Let's set the color by the color pick. I'm going to click on that. So you, you see there are some parts of the color they already have selected that. And now to check that how much of this footage are selected, I am going to check on the color gray. Okay. If I click on the color gray, so you can just see, I don't know if that is visible or not. Like, I think this is much more visible. So whatever changes I bring, that is going to be applied on these areas. Okay, so I can maybe changing a little bit the contrast, bringing it a little bit down, or maybe changing the color to something red or yellow. So yeah, I think that's okay. Now, if you want to see the difference, you have to just uncheck the color gray, and now you can just check mark and uncheck the HSL secondary option. So you can just see how the face is showing themselves something separated from the background. Okay. Yeah. Can you see the changes? Okay, great. So yeah, that was the HSL secondary, and the last is the vignette. Vignette, as I already said, that it's going to give cinematic look to the footage, maybe by adding a dark area around the screen, so you can just bring it to the left to make a dark areas, or maybe a dark corner, or maybe take it to the right to make a brighter corner. Okay, so once you already selected about the amount, you can just change the midpoint, roundness, and feather of that as well. For example, for the midpoint, I'm just bringing it more closer to the center, or yeah, so you can just change the midpoint, or maybe the roundness of these areas. For example, here, if I am just going to do that, you can just see how it is going to make this round or maybe rectangle. And beside that, the feather, how it should fit with the footage. So I'm going to add the feeder. So yeah, it's somehow going to mix um, with the background. So this is all about the color correction and color grading. For most of the time, for the color grading, people are doing the same thing that they are doing for the color correction, but maybe the standard or maybe the amount is going to be a little bit higher or a little bit down. For example, here, for in creative, we can just see and find maybe this one. This one is going to give a kind of like cinematic look. I'm going to double click and see it is already have been applied. But the amount is too much. I'm going to bring the amount a little bit down, or maybe I'm going to bringing the temperature a little bit down so it looks that this footage was taken on a snowy place. Okay, as much the temperature is down, that much it looks cold. Look here. Now it seems that the footage was captured on the Everest. Okay, right? Maybe this one was captured near to sun, or maybe in Mars. Okay. So yeah, so you can just change the temperature and make it give it the feel that you want to give to your footage. So this way you can just bring some changes on the color. But I think the time is almost at the end. Um, I'm just going to show you two tricks that is going to be very helpful for you. Uh, and yeah, I think these are going to be a little bit fast. So I'm not going to take too much time. So as you can just see, we already have applied some effect on some of them. How if you are having a lot of more footages? So how you can just apply on them as well. So you by by clicking any of the footage with the effect, you have to come to the effect control, and in effect control you are going to find the lumetri color effect in the effect control window. Then you have to Control C, or maybe you can copy it by right click, or you can just press the Control C and coming here, selecting the new footage and clicking on the effect control window and Control V here as well. So you can just see the same effect is already applied on this one. And the same way could go with this with this one as well. So you can just see very easily we already have applied the same effect on our footage. Okay, or maybe you can just try to add an adjustment layer. Okay, so now as you can just see, we are applying the same effect individually um, on each footage. So now I'm going to click on that, on one of them. I'm going to copy the lumetri color. Okay, and now I already have copied that. So I'm going to let me just copy this footage. I have this one with the effect, but I'm going to remove the effect from these other footages. From this one, I removed. I'm going to click on this and removing from this one as well. From this one as well. From this one as well. This one doesn't have the limit. Okay. So now, as you can just see, the footage are the draft one, the raw one, without any effect. And this one is the one with the effect, okay? So now I'm going to import or maybe create a new item by the name of adjustment layer from the new item list. and the size is the same as my sequence. This is my adjustment layer, and I am going to bring it, drag and drop it to my timeline. Okay, so now as you can just see, this is very small. I'm going to make it over all the footages. Okay, until here. Now I'm going to copy and paste the same effect, not on each footage individually, but only just only on adjustment layer, and is going to be applied for all the footage underneath that. So here I already copied the lumetric effect from this footage, and I'm coming to the adjustment layer, clicking here and pasting the effect. So that effect is already applied to adjustment layer. And now if I see, that effect was already applied for all of the footages. And if I just cut the adjustment layer, you can just see this is without the effect. Or maybe I can just disable and enable the adjustment layer itself as well. So here, if I click on this eye icon, you can just see this is without effect, and this is with effect. Or maybe I can just check this one. This is with effect, and this is without effect. So you can just use the adjustment layer to make it everything very simple and easier for you. So yeah, I think that is enough. Any questions so far? Okay, Javad Haidari is asking, is there any option that can apply one set color on a footage on other raw footage, like you work on one footage color? So I think Javad Haidari, you already got your answer. Okay, great then. Sajjad, can we insert external preset in Adobe Premiere? Yes, exactly. So that is one of the way that you have to work with your preset. I don't know why it's hanged. Okay. So for example, here we already have almost everything. For the preset, you have to select the footage, and from the input LUT, you have to click on here, and you can just custom. You can just browse, okay? Everything, any other preset outside of your Adobe Premiere, you can just bring that. Or maybe by clicking on custom, you are going to be redirected to your, let's say, File Explorer. And from File Explorer, you can just find those that you are thinking that it should be bringing from there. Okay, you have to just navigate to the file, and from the file you can just select and you can just import that. Okay, is it clear? Yes, or maybe by browse as well. I think you can just do the same thing. And for the format, I think for the format should be .look or .cube. Okay, so you can just bring the .cube or .look presets. Or maybe if you want to save a preset, you can save a preset as well. So you already have done the same thing on this adjustment layer. Now I need this preset to be with me, and I can just work and apply that for another project. I can just click on that, and on my Lumetric color window, there is a 3 line. I can just click on that, and I can click on Save Preset. Okay, so from Save Preset, I'm going to save the same preset. Going to say giving a name, Lumetric preset from course. Okay, so I can name it and click on OK. Where does it saved? I think you can. Okay. Um, not don't use the save preset. Maybe that's going to save somewhere. Maybe here, but no. You can just go to export.look or export.q. Okay. Um, Through here, you can just find the like you can export it and you can just import the same thing by going here and selecting the custom or browse. So Ruya, you are asking if it is possible that you are leaving. Sure, I think everything is done. The last thing I just wanted to ask everyone regarding the assignment. So the assignment for the next session is you have to finish the draft edit of your footages. You already have done the storyboard. You already have done the recording. So you have to finish the draft footage edit. Then after that, you can just use your recording voice on the footage, and you have to export your project and then upload it into your YouTube and just share the link with me. So that is going to be your assignment for the next week. If there isn't any question, you may leave. Otherwise, if you have any question, I am available here for everyone. Okay, anyone? Any questions so far? Yeah, thank you to Raya, and take care of yourself. So